The Speedstar. It's greyhound racing revolutionised, featuring the most finely tuned athlete on the planet. One compact machine capable of reaching speeds of up to 70 kilometres per hour. They are sleek, they are agile, they are poetry in motion when in full flight. And nothing showcases this quite like match racing.
Says Pout, he's gone through the second split in a lightning 18.68. He's going to run some hot time here, bewildering. They'll need to be jet infused to beat him.
It's nothing new in the world of greyhound racing. Coursing chases one-on-one is where it all started for our sport. And over the years, nothing has drawn a crowd quite like the head-to-head battles of racing's top dogs.
On the bend, Bold Trees by 4. She won't give in, Shady City. She's coming after him. Bold Trees and but Shady City on the bend. The Shady City hits the lead. New South Wales.
But the Speedstar takes it to the next level. 8 of the fastest canines over each major distance split into 4 two-dog match races. It's explosive. It's fast, it's exhilarating, and it's headed our way.
Intensity, Smart Missile though turned about 10 in front to Dinah Yemen, and Smart Missile rockets into Speedstar contention with a devastating win.
And what a series it is, of course, the Speedstar, and it rolls on and culminates in a fantastic day of chasing on Sunday at Sandown Park. Welcome to the 2019 preview show. I'm Dan Huddy. Great to have your company and great to be joined in studio by Jason Adams. Welcome to you, mate.
Great to be here, Dan, and look, it's always great to be in the studio, and let alone at this time of the year where there's lots going on. We're in the thick of the $1 million chase, and of course, before we get into the real deep end of that, nothing gets better than Speedstar. It's my favourite event throughout the year, the two that we have in May and September, so really keen to get stuck into it.
It's a fantastic series, as we said already. Now, highlights for you last year because it's such a great wagering event, but also trackside at Sandown Park. It draws a crowd, and the crowd just go nuts. It's fantastic to see, and from your point of view, actually being trackside, what have been the highlights for you over the last couple of years?
Well, it's great. I think it's the nature of the racing itself. It's unique, it's head-to-head, and it's punchy as well. There's not long between matches, and as you said, it's a unique betting opportunity as well, where you don't really have your traditional betting types. You roll into some multis, and although they're a lot of short price favourites, when you build them up, you can get a nice price. So it's a great series, and on track, it's a great buzz around their place as well.
I'm glad you mentioned multis. Of course, we'll touch on that throughout the preview show as well. But just for you at home, if you're looking for a bit of clarification on how the series works and also where to find some of the markets with Tab, here's a little package for you.
The Speedstar is almost here. On Sunday evening at Sandown Park, 40 of the nation's fastest greyhounds will compete in various two-dog match races. For those who aren't familiar with the series, we're here to explain a little bit more about the concept, as well as how to place a bet on the various types of markets currently open with Tab. Firstly, there are 5 events scheduled to be run on Sunday. 3 at Group 3 level, the 515 metre Speedstar, the Speedstar 595, and also the Speedstar Sayers. As well, on top of that, 2 consolation events which are both over the 515 metres. Each of these events are split into 4 two-dog match races, with punters able to bet on both the overall winner of the event and also the individual match race winner. It's important to note that head-to-head betting for New South Wales and ACT customers closes for all match races at the start of each event. For example, if you want to have a bet on the Speedstar 595 match race 3, your bet must be placed prior to the jump of match 1 of the Speedstar 595. Match race betting markets will remain open for Victorian Tab customers up to the jump of that particular match race. Markets for each match race can be found under the Racing Extras Speedstar head-to-head section of your Tab betting app or on the Tab website. In addition to betting on each match race, you can also bet on the overall winner of each event. The winner and placings are decided by the overall finishing times of each greyhound in that event, with the winner being the fastest, second being the second fastest, and so on. Meaning placings don't necessarily have to win their match race for them to finish second or third overall. Punters can also bet on exotics, including plays, Quinella trifecta, and first 4 markets as per normal. To place a bet on the overall winner of each event, or to place an exotic bet, head to the racing section of your Tab app or website, with those markets found under the race numbers for this Sunday's Sandown Park meeting. Other specials such as the fastest first split of the day, winning time brackets, They can be found under the Racing Extras section from Sunday morning onwards. You'll also be able to build your own multis on Sunday morning by adding runners to your bet slip as per normal. It's going to be a massive day on Sunday. Tune into the open access coverage, showcase coverage on Sky Racing 2 from 5 p.m, or download the Sky Racing Active app for live coverage from Sandown Park, as well as our comprehensive Speedstar preview.
So plenty to dissect there, but also for the punters out there, there's a lot to get on board with, and we're really looking forward to going through some of these markets. Great work by you there, Jace, as well. And we're going to have a look at our first event on Sunday, and it's the Group 3 Speedstar 595. And overall, with tab fixed, we see Spring Bridge, the $2.40 favourite, ahead of Neo Cleo at $3.60, and then $6 each of 3 Apex within True Detective and Serena. And then we're out to double figure odds. Jace, just early thoughts on this market. Any real surprises for you?
I don't think so. I think that market's pretty spot on. I think with Spring Bridge, it looks to be the fastest greyhound in it, so he deserves to be favourite. $2.40, about right, and probably backable as well.
Yep, certainly. Now we're going to see Spring Bridge in the first of the match races, so we're going to jump straight into having a look at these markets, and also for the first two dogs to do battle here. And as we have a look, it is contesting Blue Striker and also Spring Bridge. Spring Bridge going in as the short price favourite here, $1.20 ahead of Blue Striker at $4.60. In terms of the speed map here, for the first of the match races, and Blue Striker looks to be able to kick up there from box 1 and hold out Spring Bridge in the early stages of the match race there. So, look, the first dog that we're going to be talking about is, of course, Blue Striker, who's currently a $14 chance overall. And having a look at the stats page here for Blue Striker, and of course, this is just going to be an intriguing match race between these two dogs. So, starting off with Blue Striker here, Jace, talk us through this dog.
Look, he's an absolute marvel, Blue Striker, and he's $143,000 in prize money, as you can see there. And the 600 metres does seem to be his distance. We'll see a replay of him soon, of him winning at Sandown Park, which was his last win, which came back in the middle of June. So he goes 34.49 here, and we know he's capable of going better than that. Can he do that this Sunday? I'm not convinced that he's going as well as what he possibly can. I know his trainer, Peter Akathiotis, hasn't had a real good run of luck recently, and coming up against Spring Bridge, that doesn't continue either. So we know Blue Strike, he's a powerhouse at his best. He can begin really well. His PB is 34.20. Will we see him go quicker than that? I don't think so, but he's got to be able to knock off Spring Bridge. So he's got to improve on what he's been doing, Blue Striker.
I certainly like, though, when you look at his track and distance stats here. So he's got the stats to back him up, but this is another challenge entirely for him as well. Would you agree? Yeah,
absolutely. And look, the inside draw does suit him because that's where he does his best work on the rail, but comes up against one of the fastest greyhounds, I think, in Australia, especially over this 595. So it's got a challenge cut out for him, Blue Striker.
He certainly does. And speaking of that particular greyhound, Spring Bridge, let's go and have a look at the statistics page for this particular greyhound. And there we go on screen, Jace.
Yeah, look, he's kind of really opened up his career in the past couple of months. He did most of his racing early on over the 500 metres, and you just knew soon enough he was going to get more ground. We've seen him here in his trial 2 Sundays ago. We went 34.08, and I tell you what, we had a few trials leading up to this run. They didn't go that fast. Conditions were poor, and he has still put a good time on the board. So given the conditions, you probably think this run's an equivalent of about 33.80. So I reckon now Spring Bridge, where he is in his career, 595 is his best trip, and we've heard from his trainer, Jason Thompson, say for some time that this greyhound is one of the fastest they have in their kennel. So he's an absolute powerhouse. I'm really happy that he has stepped up to this distance, because I think that's what he's built for, and he's starting to show that now.
Absolutely, and 34.08 in a trial, it's blistering time.
It's very good, yeah, and especially in the poor conditions. And you'd reckon, as I said, it's probably about a 33.80 run. If he did put that on the board, he's going to be awfully hard to beat.
Absolutely, so the deserved favourite in the overall event here as well. So where are your suggested bet here in the first of the match races?
Yeah, I think we go towards Spring Bridge. We saw from that trial 34.08, and he's done a lot of good things over the sprint where he's come from behind, he's shown great strength, and since stepping up he's been really good. And I expect him to go around that 33.80. Can Blue Striker run that time? At his best, probably not, and I don't really think he's at his finest point at the moment. So it's going to be very hard to beat Spring Bridge.
So there we go, Spring Bridge, Jason Adams' suggested bet in the first of the match races here. As we move on to match race number 2 for the first event on Speedstar Day on Sunday. This features Apex Within and Extreme Justice. A little bit closer in betting these two. Apex Within $1.40 tab fixed, and Extreme Justice at $3. So another interesting match race to dissect, and pretty level in terms of the speed map here. So it'll be interesting to see where the tactics go with both of these dogs and who's quickest out, but by the looks of this, it'll just be Apex Within, and this will be the first greyhound that we have a chat about here, Jace. So Apex Within from the box looks to just get that narrow advantage out of the boxes.
Yeah, of course. He will wear the 3 rug, but he does go into the inside box, being box number 1. So I think there's a lot to like about him. Apex Within, we see his stats here. He's trained by Rod Clark, who's one of the most informed trainers in Victoria throughout 2019. And one thing with Apex Within, what you see is what you get. He's so consistent. He's got reliable box speed. Not only does he have a bit of speed early, he's got great strength. We wind back the clock to the middle of July, where he was engaged in the heats here of the McKenna Memorial, and he's done the hard work. He's come from midfield, and I think before this, me personally at least, saw him as a type that if he doesn't lead, he's going to find it hard to really run on, especially over the distance. But this certainly proved me wrong, and speaking to his trainer Rod Clark after this, he wasn't surprised. His greyhound's been running fast times for quite a while, and look, I think this time around, as I said, he's lucky he's got the inside draw and he's consistent. That's the most important part about this. He can go 34 flat probably, and if he wants to do that again, I think from the inside especially, he's going to hold his ground. That's where he's going to do his best work.
There's plenty of ticks in the box there for Apex Within, so I'm really intrigued to see how he goes in not only the match race, but of course in the overall standings. Now, the second dog to be having a look at in this particular match race is Extreme Justice here. And track and distance stats, all right there with the 1 win and 1 placing. Jace, what have you made of him?
Well, we speak about the consistency and reliability of Apex Within. It's not really a mirror image, in my opinion, with Extreme Justice. He comes into this series with a quick PB to his name of 34.08, and that is the time that has got him a run in this series. But you look to either side of this run, he hasn't really done heaps like it. There is wins prior to that where he won in 35.14, leading all the way at the Meadows. That's not awfully quick. So you can't really rely on him to run this sort of time. If he does, he's going to be in the thick of it, and he has to. To be able to match it with Apex Within, he's going to have to run up to exactly that because, as I said, the outside draw, Apex Within, is going to begin pretty well. So I think he's going to hold his ground on the rail, and it could be lights out after that.
Well, he's currently $3 in the market, so a little bit of a query there with Extreme Justice, but definitely deserving of a spot there in the field. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Jace, where are your suggested bets here in the second of the match races?
Leaning towards Apex Within. As I said, he's just consistent. He begins pretty well. He's strong, and he can go around that 34 flat mark. So I just think with that consistency compared to his opponent being Extreme Justice, it's going to be pretty hard to beat Apex Within.
All right, Apex Within on top for Jace there in the second of the match races. We move on to match race number 3. Really intrigued by this one, and the market backs that up. True Detective and Serena, $1.90 each of 2 here. Just a fascinating match race on paper between these two dogs as we move to the speed map here and have a look at how this could potentially shape up. Sereno just on the outside there, potentially with the speed to crossover from True Detective. So this is going to be a really interesting match race to dissect as we get into each of these individual greyhounds, and we're going to start with True Detective. Jason, the big stat here that stands out, the track and distance, 3 from 3, hard to fault really.
He's kind of come out of nowhere, True Detective, and when I say out of nowhere, not that he's improved out of sight, he's been good for some time, but I think that run he put together at the Meadows back in July, Connections didn't know, I don't think, how good he actually was, and he come out and went 34.19 there over the 600, which is absolutely express, and it's often for greyhounds to produce a performance like that, but it's difficult for them to maintain it. That's exactly what True Detective has done. He's strung together a lot of wins. We see this run here when he goes 34.09. That is the run that has got him into this series. And I guess the only knock I could put on him in this match race is Sereno may be able to lead him. I think throughout this card we see a lot of short price favourites that should win. This could be the most open race of the night. And look, he's probably got to, I think the leader of this one wins. And True Detective, he can lead, they both can lead, but the inside for True Detective may play in his favour.
I'm glad that you mentioned that as well. And just quickly, is this the more fascinating of the match races in this first event, do you think, personally?
The most even, absolutely. I think probably the most fascinating, the most exciting is Spring Bridge because we think he's the fastest greyhound in it and going to do something special given conditions are fine. But this one here, True Detective Sereno, one of the most even matches of the night is definitely in this first event.
Absolutely. And now mentioning Sereno, let's have a look at this particular greyhound's statistics page here. Untested at the track and distance, but did run 34.18 in a trial.
He did, and he's trialled twice down here, both over the 595 metres, and he has gone around similar time of 34.20. And can we see him go faster than that? I don't know, because I know in the 2 times that he has come down the trial, he hasn't travelled that well. He hasn't handled it as you'd hope. But we've seen him do his best work here at Albion Park, where he's put a time on the board of 34.51, which not many do. So the ability of this greyhound can't be doubted. In terms of his matchup with True Detective, he's got a lead, because I think True Detective may be able to go a little bit quicker than what Serena can. He's got the inside draw, so he holds the cards. So Serena's got a lead. Hopefully, 3rd time travelling down to here to Victoria, he's better off for it. So we'll see how he goes, but as I said, this is very open, that's for sure.
Just that blistering turn of foot there as well, hard not to be taken. Now, where is your suggested bet here in the 3rd of the match races?
I think we go True Detective. I'm not 100% sold on this. He's not an absolute guarantee, but I just think got the inside draw and he's still on the up. Both of these greyhounds are still on the up. I know Connections are confident that True Detective may be able to step up further in distance later on in his career, so wouldn't be surprised if he gave it a shake, the 34-second barrier, and I think that's probably a couple lengths than what we should expect from Serena. Given he has trialled twice, he's gone almost the same time, 34.20. You'd have to improve a little bit to knock off True Detective.
Yep, you'd imagine, but really excited to see that particular match race. So 3 down in the first event, 1 more to come as we have a look at the market here between the 2 in Rockstar Prince and also Neo Cleo. Neo Cleo going in as the short price favourite, $1.22 currently from Rockstar Prince at $4.40 in terms of the speed map here. And Neo Cleo looks to clearly cross over based on what we know currently, and I'm sure you'd agree with that, Jace, as well.
She will lead this race, yeah. She's got faultless early speed typically, and she's usually racing over the sprint in good fields and still leading those. And with Rockstar Prince, he doesn't have a lot of early toe. So Neo Cleo will lead this, and she's going to set up a race-winning break early on.
And we'll talk about Neo Cleo in just a second, but we'll start off with Rockstar Prince and have a look at the statistics here backing this particular greyhound up, Jace.
Yeah, look, and he's a greyhound who's, look, he's best fit over this distance, but look, this is a format that will suit him, because we've seen in his races he can get back in his field, and he's not a freak, so he can't win from back in the field. But we have seen when he does get clear run, he's got a win at the Meadows on the board 3 starts ago, went 34.29. That's quick. We see him here go 34.22, leading from box number 1, but that wasn't the run that he actually qualified with. The one he did qualify with was back in July, where he ran 2nd to Blackjack Neo. But look, I just think with this greyhound, we can see what he do when he can find the front, but he's up against a star. That's his hardest part. He's got to be able to lead her. I don't think he can, and that's going to be the only way he can win this match race.
It's going to be a proper challenge for him, and that's probably the more exciting thing. Let's see what he can actually do against a dog like Neo Cleo. So he could rock up and show something more than what we could be expecting. So.
Yeah, we've probably been a little bit harsh on him.
Yeah.
I think even because he's up against a superstar. We see this, the Nut Evans combination, of course, reared and bred all the Rockstar prefix greyhounds, and his natural strength. They've all got it. He's a very good dog, but he's up against a superstar. We'll say that again.
He certainly is, and that superstar is Neo Cleo. As we have a look at the statistics page for this particular greyhound, and she just looks great on paper, Jace.
Faultless on paper. 77 starts, 35 wins. There's not many greyhounds around the country who have a strike rate that good, and I think coming into this series, it's a format that she already has had success in. We see here last May, jumping from box number 4, and again, faultless. She jumps straight to the front. She goes 33.89. And look, although she is getting on in age, she's now, what is she, almost 4 years of age. It hasn't had an impact on the way she's going. We saw her back in May. She took out the Group 1 Sapphire Crown over the sprint, and she's won over all 3 distances at Sandown Park, and she's just so reliable. She should do everything right. She can still put times on the board like we see her do last May. So, look, all things being equal, she finds the front. She's going to be very hard to run down.
And this style of chasing clearly suits her, and great that we got to see that replay as well for punters at home. You got to actually see her in a speed star and how she actually handles it. So clearly there's no question with that for her.
Absolutely. It's probably a similar sort of situation as well. We saw her there, jump from an outside box. She jumps from an outside box here and finds the front. She's very hard to run down. Not is she a come from behind sort of greyhound, but when she's leading, she's strong, naturally strong, and very hard to chase down.
She certainly is. And just on that, your suggested bet here in the final of the match races?
Neo Cleo, clearly, as I said, she's got the pace, she's consistent, we know exactly what she's going to do. She's not the sort of type to turn up one week, run fast time, and then get caught up in the field the week after. She does it week in, week out. She's done it all over all 3 distances. She'll lead this and be very hard to beat.
So there are the 4 match races as they currently stand now, but we do have 2 reserves as well to focus in on, and we'll quickly chat about each of these, starting with Go Seek Heidi, Jace.
Yeah, look, she's been really impressive for quite a while now, and think at this stage of her career, although she already was strong, she's getting stronger. She's running on over 5.95, so she's probably unlikely to get a run in here, but of course we do see her go around in a consolation event over the sprint later in the night.
And the second of the reserves is the 10 Steinbrenner.
Yeah, look, he's another greyhound who's naturally strong and just probably at the start of his career. I think the best is definitely ahead of him, although he has already been pretty good. 19 starts, 6 wins, but again, unlikely to get a run, I think.
So there we go. That is the full field for the first of the events, including the reserves as well. Jason Adams, where's your suggested bet for the entire event?
I think Spring Bridge. I think just from what we saw in that trial where he did go 34.08 on a day where no other greyhound was going fast, it was pouring down rain. As I said, it's probably an equivalent of a 33.80 at worst. So fastest greyhound in it, format suits. I think he's going to be the one to beat overall.
There we go, Spring Bridge, Jason Adams' suggested bet in the overall event. Here, the first of 3 main events at Sandown Park as part of this Speed Star series on Sunday afternoon. Plenty to look forward to. We've still got 2 main events to focus on, and we'll touch on them shortly.